Hello, my fellow crafters. Today I am going to show you one of the projects that I work on while I'm on long road trips or at shows with idle hands. This not only helps to keep me busy, but helps to add a little bit of reasonably priced inventory that kids and teenagers absolutely love. It is very cost effective for me to make, which makes it very cost effective to sell also. And like I said, it just adds something different for the kids and the teenagers. So first off, I'm sure a lot of you already know how to do this, but this is how I make them, and this is how I make them without measuring. For the base string, the part that goes around your wrist, you want to fold a piece of nylon cord in half. Now this is a 2mm rat tail nylon cord or satin cord, and I'll have a link down below for that. And what I do is I wrap it around my wrist and make sure that there's about that much left over. I did measure this. This is about 20 inches, if that helps. And then I did about an arm's length of the color that I chose for the main body of the bracelet. So to get started, I'll fold the base cord in half, and then I hold it right about in there. So I have about 1.5 inches, 2 inches up top that I'll be rearranging later. Now I've done this enough times. A lot of people will pin it to their pants or a pillow or something in front of them. I don't have to do that because I've not only done this enough, but the way I do it is actually really easy to do without having that. So you fold this in half, and then you take the body cord, the longer cord, and fold that in half also. And then you're going to want to take this half and put it underneath so it looks like that. And then I'll put my finger there, and I'll take the bottom string and put it over top of the top string. And then I'll just take that top string and bring it up over this bottom string, over the two black, and then down through the hole. And just pull that through and tighten it up. And that's how I get them started. And then to go from there, you're going to want to rotate back and forth or alternate back and forth between each arm. Otherwise, it's going to spin around. I mean, if you want it to have that look, then go for that and just keep working on the one side and just keep going that way, and you'll get a natural spiral in it, which is pretty neat. But for these, I don't do that. I do a back and forth. So then you're going to take your right side, or I should say the side that does not have this knot end here, and you're going to take that and bring it back behind and underneath that black one, and actually over top of the other arm. So now it's going to look just like that. And then take that bottom arm, bring it over top of the two black, and put it down through that hole. And you keep going back and forth until you have about 4 inches, maybe 5 inches, but I'd say about 4. I usually make sure that it covers the top of my wrist and the sides. So it's really simple, back and forth. And if you get confused, like if you have to set it down and walk away and don't know where you ended at, like I said, you just have to look where the very last portion is that has the knot. So this side here is the one that finished last. So we want to go back over to this side. And you, like I said, put it back behind the black and bring it over top of the other side. And then you're going to take that other side and bring it up over the black and through that yellow. Now sometimes I'll end up with too much length on these arms when I am doing the arm pull measure instead of a regular measure. But that's okay, because I'll use that longer piece to help finish off the other end, which I'll show you how to do once I get to the end of this. And like I said, I usually do this in the car. And the reason why I'm doing it not only on camera for you is, one, to show you or give you an option of something that you can do to help add to inventory. It also gives you ideas for something else for younger kids or teenagers. And when they're running around with $5 in their pocket, especially the little kids, they love things like this that they can afford. Because I usually sell these for $3 each or 2 for $5. I know that's not a lot, but at the same point, when you're on a road trip and you're in the car doing nothing anyhow, sitting there doing this really does not do me any harm. And when I buy this cord, I buy it in bulk, so it does not cost very much. I've noticed this cord is actually really hard to find in the craft stores now. When Joann's was still in business, they had it in smaller portions, but I could only get a couple bracelets out of it, so that wasn't really the way to go. But when you buy it in bulk, it's a lot easier. And plus, if you don't want to make a lot of these, but you still buy this in bulk to save that money, you can actually use these for necklace cords and stuff like that, especially for younger kids or people with sensitive skin. They like to have something that is nice and soft and slick. And the other reason why I am making this video is because I actually have to go on a really long road trip. So it gave me the thought that I needed to do this for you too. I've seen some people sell these online. Once again, this is one of those items that I only sell in person. I do not sell these online. It just does not seem like the best route to go for me. But when you do a lot of music festivals, so we absolutely love doing music festivals. It's probably one of our favorite things to do. And you're there all weekend, and you got kids running all over the place, and they're back and forth, and they come back to your tent 1,000,001 times. You know, they might end up buying several of these throughout the entire weekend. So between these and the rings that we have for $5, we have kids in our tent a lot. I don't remember if I've mentioned this before in one of the other videos, but we do like to make sure that we have a healthy balance of items as far as cost. So we kind of have something for everybody. Like we'll have things like this that are a cheap, quick sale, and they're good for kids to pick up, or for people that, you know, they want to get something that's relatively inexpensive so they can have more money for other things, but they still want something from your displays, or in general, because there's a lot of people who only go to some of these things for food or rides or entertainment, and they don't really necessarily go to buy. And then we also have our items that are we have our mid-range items that are anywhere from, say, $10 to about $25. And then we also have, like, beyond that, like, we have a majority of our stuff is in the midline price range, anywhere from $10 to $25. That's our average price range. And then we also have items like this, or I also make goat milk soap that averages anywhere from $3.50 a bar to about $8 a bar, depending on the recipe and the size of the bar. And then our last item that we have the fewest of, are items ranging from $50 on up to $250. We still have them, but we don't have an excess of them because it's not realistically what sells the best. Like for all the other stuff, you don't really have to look for the right buyer. People will gladly pick up something like this for $3 or 2 for $5 and not think anything of it. For the $10 to $25 sales, they might put a little bit more thought into it, but if you give them BOGO deals, or at the very minimum, spend time talking to them and being very personable with them. Don't try to sell to them and push on them or anything else like that. Just ask them how their day was, talk to them, see what they're interested in, and make them feel welcomed. Not pushed, but welcomed. And they're a little bit more likely to spend, $10 to $25 on this item or that item, which still adds up. It adds up quickly, actually. And then for the items anywhere from $50 to $250, that more, they have to wait for the right person to come along and say, I really have to have that, which it does happen, but it doesn't happen enough to make sure to cover for all your fees. Where the other sales, where there's a larger portion of people that are able to fit within that window, that's where the majority of your sales are going to be. That's where the majority of your profit is going to be. So it really does pay to have items that are less expensive and the mid-range expensive. And then the other, like the higher end items, very important to have, and it makes for a great sale. But do not depend on those items. Depend on your lower and your mid-range items, because that's, like I said, that's actually what's going to pay for your gas, your entry fee into the show, more supplies, and just the weekend in general, and help pay the bills that was the whole reason for you doing the show to begin with, or might have been the whole reason for doing the show. All right, so I'm now to the end of this as far as what I want to do for the main body of this. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to take one end up here where my fold is, and I'm going to pull on it until I have this end down here pretty near the body, but not too close. I don't want to pull it all the way through. And then I'll come through and I'll pull on that other side, holding this in place so it doesn't go anywhere. Maybe loosen this up a little bit. You don't want it too tight or it's not going to bend real well. And then I fold it in half, and I kind of check to see that these are relatively similar. I'm going to trim them up so they don't have to be perfect, but you want them to be somewhat similar. So I'm going to pull that through just a little bit more. And now that I know that I have this where I want it, I'm going to leave those arms on it for right now until I'm done with the frame of this. So this side here is cut on that side. So I'm going to come down here, and I'm going to go to the opposite side, and I'm going to trim this. And then what you're going to do to finish this off, and some people will thread it back through. I would do that for, say, paracord, but I don't do that for the satin. I just take a lighter and melt that end. And once it's melted down a bit, then I just push it down on there. So it seals it real nice, and it keeps it from fraying. It keeps it in place. You just have to be careful not to overdo it, or else you're going to melt this side or cause singe marks. Then you bring it over to the other side and do this. Just like that. Super simple. So now that I have that done, and I know none of it had gone through, so I don't have to go back and fix anything, now I can trim these up. And do the same thing with these that you did with the other. All right, now for me, I consider this the back, or where I want the inside. See where that knot is? And then on this side, you don't have that. So this, I consider the back or the inside of the bracelet. So now what I'm going to do is I'm going to take and fold this around and bring these two arms side by side, just like this. And then take one of your smaller pieces that you have left, which this one might not be long enough, but we'll see how it works. And you just fold it in half, just like you did the other one. The same exact way you start this one, except for now you have 2 arms instead of a fold. Not a big deal. Like I said, it's still the same. You hold it just like that. Bring this the one side over, and then take the one that was underneath and bring it down through the hole. And tighten it up. I got to even that up a little bit because I don't have enough arm on that side there. So that'll do. And then just keep going on this, just like you did the other side. It's a little bit smaller, maybe a little bit more fiddly, but it's still perfectly easy to do. You do not have to pin it down. I mean, maybe when you first start doing this, you might have to until you have your muscle memory. But this is so easy to pick up. Once you get started, you can just keep going with these. And I can make so many of these on a card right. It is insane. And I'm still making these all summer long. No matter how many I make, it's never quite enough. Honestly, this here is enough for that. I usually use a little bit more than this. But I'll see if I can't at least get one more on it just to make me feel better. If I can't, I can't. It'll still stay. It'll still do its job. It just won't be as much as I usually have on it. Let me see if a pair of pliers will help me here. Get out those pliers. They make tools for a reason, right? You want to go ahead and get this finished off. Now, since this is the part that slides, it's very important to get this part so it does attach and it doesn't come through. It's going to stay. And even though you're not selling these for a lot, I don't know, maybe you are. That's up to you. I'm not pricing your items for you. I'm just telling you what I price these for. You can go from there with whatever you feel works best for you, for your cost, and for your area. And that's another thing too. You have to pay attention to whatever area it is you're selling in, because some areas have far less accessible expending money than other areas do. And that's just how life is. Like tourist areas, you can usually ask a little bit more for things. A lot of small rural towns, maybe not so much. You'll often hear, oh, I can make that at home. I hear that so much, it's ridiculous. Actually, I am going to have to redo this. I was so busy talking, I didn't realize what I did wrong. There's nothing innately wrong with this. This would still work fine just the way it is. Or no, I didn't goof up. Okay, I'm just looking at it funny. Because you want them to line up so that the long end goes to the cut end on both sides. For whatever reason, I saw that and I thought I goofed up. I didn't. Alright, so now you want to open this up some so that you can see about how big you need it. So you make sure you don't cut these too short or too long. And go ahead and put a knot there. And this will prevent the cord from coming through here. So it's going to stay in an enclosed circle at all times. I mean, unless somebody is really super rough with it, it'll last quite a while. Tighten up those knots some. I kind of try to make sure that they're even. They don't have to be perfect. But like I said before, even when you are making low-cost items, you still want that quality in there because people are going to see all of your items, and if they see something that's poorly made, that instantaneously is going to read to them that everything else is poorly made, even if they see other things that are high quality. So you really, really want to be consistent in the quality of your work. It is, honestly, it's essential to the trust value ratio for your customer, and it will determine whether or not somebody is willing to buy from you to begin with, whether they're willing to buy multiple things, and even whether they're willing to come back to you. Because if they buy something from you and it falls apart, even just a week later, they're probably never going to buy from you again, in all reality. They might give you another shot, but not too many people will, to be quite honest. But if you make something and it lasts them until the next time they see you the following year and it's still going strong, they're 10 times more likely to buy from you. And repeat customers are by far your most valuable customers, hands down. All right, so there we go. Nice, simple. Like I said, I make these in the car. I can pump these out all day long. It keeps me busy on the car ride. It keeps me productive. Please note, no matter how productive you feel you need to be, please remember to take a break, because you're going to be far more productive when you allow yourself to step away and take a break. But if you're like me, sometimes you can't help yourself and you have to stay busy to not be bored. I mean, the saying goes, idle hands are devil's playground. So if you're looking for something to do while you're a passenger in a car, or you're sitting somewhere waiting for anything to happen, find little things like this to do that'll add to your inventory that you can do without much thought, much material, or anything else like that, but still make a decent profit off of. And like I said, I buy the cord in bulk. I have the link down below. If you buy it in bulk, you're going to be able to make so many bracelets that it'll pay for itself well over. If you decide to use the cord for necklaces also, then that's a whole other source of potential income that you could be making off of a couple different spools of colors. I mean, you can get all different kinds of colors. This here is kind of one of those ebb and flow things. Like one season, it'll do really good. And then another season, blues or reds or hot pinks, like solid colors, will do really well. I still always have these on hand, regardless. So, there you go. Thank you for hanging out with me today. I hope to be able to continue to make and publish videos while I'm on the road, but I'm going to be on the road for probably about 2 weeks. So we'll see what I can come up with. In the meantime, happy crafting and good luck in your endeavors. See you soon. Bye.